Hey everybody, this is Call to Action. Today we're having a special interview with somebody who made their debut in the Schmoedown and thinks, hey, kayfabe can get me pretty far.
We have Dylan Camacho in the interview, everybody.
Yeah!
I'm just playing, guys. We got the one, the only, Brandon, the Hitman Hanna.
You know, I don't know what this kayfabe stuff is you're talking about. I really am the Hitman. That's just who I am.
So,
All right,
a lot of hair on your head.
Police, we found the killer. So, Mr. Brandon Hanna, Mr. Intern, Mr. Gets coffee for everybody and expects to win.
It's not who I am anymore.
Ooh.
Yes, you kill the people getting coffee, apparently.
Yep.
If they're on the list.
Who is on that list right now?
That's a good. Yeah, that's a great way to start this off. Just spoilers for the Intergeekdom 4-way. Mr. Hanna won, and you've already cleared your list.
Yeah.
So Arya Stark, who's next? Who do you have in the future going down there?
You know, I haven't really had it figured out yet. You know, everyone in the division, their name is on the list. You know, hypothetical different point values next to them with their worth, right? So obviously you have Rachel Cushing at the top, but obviously not quite there yet. So we'll see. We'll see soon enough who's going to be the next name to get crossed off that list.
All right. I dig this. So let's talk a little bit about the match before we start cutting up, because we will be cutting up in this whole thing. We want to see how well the Hitman does under the heated pressure of the Call to Action podcast lights. But speaking of under the lights, we got to see you in that match, and man, you crushed that shit. Oh, that was exciting to see.
Yes, I did. Thank you. You know, the Hitman takes care of business. You know, I've been fortunate enough to, when I'm not crossing names off my list, I am a member of the production team behind the scenes. So I've been under those lights many times. I've walked out of that curtain for the first time when Ben played Roka last season. So, you know, I mastered not tripping on it on my way out, which is huge for a first-time competitor. So, you know, I knew what I was in for, you know, and as Nick Gilmore so gracefully told me on the Facebook group, is that, you know, I handled it like a veteran. I didn't handle it like a rookie. And that's what I went in there trying to do, and I think I accomplished that.
Right. I think you definitely carried that mentality into that. So I guess that kind of crosses off one of the questions that we were probably going to pitch to you is, you know, you came in as the intern, you worked your way to the Hitman. Did that small bit of time being able to be on there and even got to be the boss there for like a little bit of an episode or for a little bit of a match, did that help kind of build that confidence and shake those jitters off for that first match?
I think so, for sure. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Even when I came out of that curtain as Ben Bateman's intern last season, I was a bit nervous, and I think that definitely helped. You know, to prepare me for this, and I mean, if I could be quite honest, I was a little nervous going into this match. I mean, you face Chance Ellison and Keaton Markey, who have proven that they have experience and they know what they're doing. And I knew Chandru from you know, behind the scenes. He's been to many tapings this season. I knew he knew his stuff, so I wasn't going to underestimate any of my opponents. But is that going to affect how confident I am going in? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. And looking at those competitors across the board, you know, Chandru also playing excellently. Keaton, she played good. I mean, let's not discredit her credits too. I think Keaton played really good. It was a stacked match. I mean, all of you guys went into the mid to high 20s almost by the time the thing was all said and done. So this was a pretty much a brawl right on from the start to finish on this whole beat.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it came down to the wire. I definitely had a challenge on my hand, and you know, fortunately, and as I expected, I rose to the occasion.
So, also looking into the match, we know that Chance was a little bit of a last-second addition. We had 2 or 3 that I guess they've been holding back, and then Emma throws him into that to begin with. He plays very, very well for his first showing into a different league. That kind of makes me wonder, So with you getting your feet wet to the Inner Geekdom League, are we only seeing the Hitman being an Inner Geekdom exclusive player, or are we going to ever see crossovers for the Hitman as well?
I think for the time being, I'm gonna stick with Inner Geekdom. That's where my expertise is, and a proper Hitman knows to stick to their expertise. But I mean, who knows what the future can hold?
Okay.
And as we see today, the killer is a pretty big nerd. But even outside of just sticking within Inner Geekdom, do you see yourself expanding to a faction? Do you see your concierge hotel, if you will, being filled with more attendees, Mr. Wick?
I mean, let's be honest. My services are always for hire. It just depends on who the highest bidder is. But jokes aside, you know, I'm doing my own thing right now. I'm happy, as as has been said multiple times already. I'm happy to be stepping out of Ben Bateman's shadow, stepping into the spotlight for myself as the Hitman, and I'm just happy to be making a name for myself. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, Ben is a large reason why I am where I am today. And I give him a lot of credit for that, and I'm very appreciative of that. But it's time to move on to bigger and better things.
And it's time for your time to shine, to really show that you're an individual away from Ben. And I think that was a big thing people thought kind of going into this match is there, you know, well, who's Brandon Hanna really? We see him as the intern. And I think I actually have a really good graph I kind of want to use to figure out who is Brandon the Hitman Hanna. So right now we've only got one match to kind of figure out who the Hitman is. But a very hot topic that you'll always see across the board is, are they heel? Are they face? Where is that? So we have a graph, Brandon Hanna, I want you to look at. And we have bitch and we have the goat. And that's face and that's heel. Where would you say the Hitman lands on this one? Huh? Tell me if I'm getting hotter or colder.
Well, I don't know about the bitch to goat scale, but the Bateman to guy scale, or the heel to face scale, as you probably mean, is I definitely don't see myself as a heel. I respect the game far too much to I respect
That's a pretty heel thing to say if you're insulting other heels for just being themselves.
Listen, no, I respect the game. I respect the competitors. I take this league very seriously, and I want to win. I don't hate anybody. I just, there's people in my way. I'm going to take care of business, and I'm going to get the wins, and I'm going to rise to the top.
Okay. But you also do kill people in a movie trivia show, so that already kind of puts you more towards the middle. That's excessive roughness, which I can tell you is a heel mentality. You can trust me on that. We put people through tables, which puts you over here.
I don't put anybody through tables or chairs. I just answer the questions.
All right. Well, maybe we'll put you somewhere in the middle for right now. We'll give you more matches, and I guess we'll be the judges of it. But
we won't give the police anything else to go off of, Mr. Hitman.
Yeah, don't worry. Your secrets are safe with us, Mr. Hitman.
To backtrack a bit, you said you want to move on to bigger and better things. Necessarily doesn't mean a faction, but that does mean your next match. You've already beaten somebody who is a representative of the league, per se, with Keaton Markey. Who do you see yourself going up against next, or who do you want to put to rest, per se?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is I'll play and I'll beat anyone they throw at me. Anyone that comes in my way, anyone whose name ends up on my list, I'm going to take them out. I don't really have a preference per se. There's a lot of, good names out there. So I'm not going to get too specific with it. Just whenever the commissioner decides to put me in another match, I'm going to be ready to take out whoever it is.
Okay. So one thing that, and I know we're talking a little bit about, who's next and what next, and those are things that we usually kind of see at the post-interview and stuff. One thing that I noticed as a viewer of that match is that it felt like your promo cut at the end of the match was very choppy. And I don't know if we can get any insight into, was there anything said that couldn't be said, or if it is said that you can't talk about it here. But I don't know. You tell me. Have you seen? I'm sure you probably watched the match by now, and it was very, very cut. Was there anything that you can let us know that maybe was said?
Yeah, and I think I could be pretty honest about this. When Emma did come into my post-match interview, she did mention who I would be playing in my next match. However, since that recording, my opponent unfortunately had to back out, for reasons that I won't get into. So I have yet to be scheduled in another match, but that is ultimately what happens, where it was said I would be playing a person who I'm no longer playing. So to leave it in would just be false. It would just be untrue. So that's why they had to cut it out.
Okay. And of course, I could sit here and ask who, but then it just comes into the game of, well, they might potentially reappear again. It might be a schedule.
Yeah, I want to be honest, but I want to be transparent as I can be. But
Right.
I don't also, I don't want to show you too much how the sausage is made.
That's fair. And Big Brother Harloff will be hovering over, making sure that nothing.
But, I feel comfortable saying it because it's kind of obvious that's what happened when you look at it.
Right.
Yeah, obviously it's so I might as well just let it all be out in the open. It's an unfortunate thing that happens. People's schedules get mixed up. Things happen. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah. And it's fair. I appreciate the transparency, and I think that helps put you more on the scale, on the bitch to goat scale, where no, there's no scale for that. I think I appreciate any transparency, because sometimes players come on to the interviews and stuff like that, and they have to be a lot more reserved and kind of held back with that for politics reasons and stuff like that. But with no shortage of opinions, I do want to catch your opinion on maybe not one of your matches, but a match that you may be interested in coming up in this collision. We have Smets versus Kalinowski. Now, Smets, another rising rookie like yourself, Kalinowski, a tried and true former champion. Who do you got for that one right now?
So I see, as you could see in my match, it pleased me to no end to defeat a member of Corruption. Corruption is a sour note on the league. I said earlier I don't really hate anybody, but would I want to hang out with Mike Kalinowski or Chance Ellison? Probably not. Now, don't get me wrong. I respect Mike as a competitor. He was an Intergeekdom champion. He trained very hard for it, and he earned that championship belt. But he lost it. And then since then, we've had Kevin Smets rise up through the ranks, and his training regiment is known to be the greatest of any competitor in the Schmoedown. That man works harder than anybody in the league. So I have an enormous amount of respect for Kevin, and that's honestly why I'm going to give the edge to him. Is I think he just wants it more. He's hungrier, and I do speak to Kevin a little bit behind the scenes, and he doesn't give any secrets away. He's smart enough not to do that, despite what some rumors might have you believe.
Mm-hmm.
But
don't worry, Roxy doesn't watch our show.
I know the work that he puts in, so I got to give it to Smets.
Yeah. And I tend to agree. Mike and all of his thing, all respects due. He picks fights with a lot of stupid people. Something I was saying all this earlier. All those stupid people being James Spence here, right here.
You said that after I shed the kayfabe jacket.
Yep. Not only with our podcast members, but obviously with our boy Andrew Guy and a lot of people who we just know and love. So it does get into the thing where I really want to like Mike, and I do like Mike whenever he's facing anybody that's not a person I like more than him, if that's the honest truth. And he keeps ignoring my offers to come to the show. Every comment I get, I'm like, Mike, come on to the show, and he doesn't. Mike, if you watch this clip right for here for some reason, what the fuck, man? That's all I gotta say.
It's shedding kayfabe a little. We have been trying to get Mike on the show, and it just unfortunately hasn't gone through. But hey, we can get traders on the show, isn't that right, Hannah?
I don't believe. I think a traitor is a strong word to be tossed around. It's a bold accusation, if I may. But you've had Kevin Smets on this show, and now you've had me. And where is Mike Kalinowski? I mean, he better be training.
Losers don't appear on the show.
He's going to need it.
Simple facts.
Welcome to the Call to Blast podcast. There's your host, James, everybody. So you had mentioned that corruption's a little bit of a sour note, and you talked pretty positively about Smets. So this kind of leads me to my next train of thought. Now, I know you said you're doing your own thing and that we weren't going to do that, but let me pitch you a couple roads here. Let's say that Kaiser walks up to you and, I don't know, Ken and Grace walk up to you, and they both propose, hey, come join our faction. Is there ever a world you ever just go corruption, or do you just leap full dungeon head right away, no questions asked?
Well, let's talk about Ken and Grace first. If I could be honest with you guys, I don't see any scenario where I would ever accept that offer. I mean, come on, they've already got 2 Inner Geekdom players going, you know, one that I've already beat,
Yeah.
and one that is trying to get back on top. We'll see if he succeeds. If he doesn't, I'll be there to clean up whatever pieces are left. So at the end of the day, I can't join a faction that I don't respect. You know, it's a tough word because I do respect Mike Kalinowski.
You can respect a player, not respect a
player. Yeah, I don't respect his entourage.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just gone down a dark path.
So let me sweeten the pot real quick, though. Let's say they come to you and they say, "Chance, Mike, out. You're the lead. You're the new player. You're the new hotshot Inner Geekdom one. If you take their spots, do you take the shot?"
I mean, that didn't work for Eric Zipper, so I'm not sure I'm just gonna keep going.
Oh man,
they might mean it this time.
Listen, you guys are really putting me through a loop here.
Okay, so here, let's think of it like this. Come to Collision on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You have the manager pool. You got Jay. You got Dagnino somehow. Grace and Ken. You have Kaiser, and you have
Robert Meyer Burnett.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a terrible person.
Family.
Okay.
The manager.
So, manager poll ends. You walk on stage. You're like, hey, where's my manager? Who do you want to come out from that curtain and say, Hitman, glad to hire you?
You know, I think, like I said, I'm enjoying doing my own thing and earning my way and working hard for it every bit of the way. I think I don't know if a manager suits me right now. I'm not someone like Chance Ellison where I need a mouthpiece to talk for me because I can't speak into a microphone. I'm more than capable of speaking for myself, and I will continue to do so. So, you know, there's a lot of factions out there and a lot of possibilities. You know, you spoke about the dungeon. Would I ever join the dungeon? I don't think so. I respect their work ethic. I respect their mentality. But you know, I don't know if that faction or any faction right now is a good fit. So I think I'll stick to being my own manager for the time being, and we'll see if things change down the road.
Okay. I like.
Okay, wait. Backtracking. There's one important faction we forgot to mention. The whole reason you're in the Schmoedown. Your tech buddies, the Wangers.
Oh.
Is there any chance we will see a resurgence of them with you leading the charge of the Young Bucks once again?
I mean, that would be something for certain. But I honestly think Christian Ruvalcaba and Cody Hall, I think I don't know if they want to step back into the ring. You know, I think it's just not for them. But if they ever came to me and with this idea, I'd hear them out. I love those guys. I respect the hell out of them. They're the reason this show is even possible. Mm-hmm. You know, them, Robert Butler III, Thad, Megan, Cameron, everyone who works behind the scenes. They're the reason that show is as good as it is. So if they wanted to be in a faction with me, I'd be more than happy to hear them out. Because like I've said before, the Hitman services are for hire.
What do those services cover entirely, Brandon, Hanna?
Just mostly crossing names off a list. I'm very good at making lists and then drawing lines through the names once I'm done.
So you're Santa Claus?
Right. So maybe some holiday-like events around December. You're
Maybe Paddington 2 should pick him up to make like a Christmas faction.
I'm not saying I'm Santa Claus, but to me and then the Jolly Guy have things in common. Maybe.
guys do look good in red. I'll give you that.
We just need to fast forward, 80 years to get like the full white beard, nice little beer gut.
This
Emblematic of the
is
season.
really going off the rails now. I didn't think when this interview started I'd be comparing myself to Santa Claus.
Have you seen this show?
Well,
Doesn't exactly
Off the Rails podcast. That might as well be our secondary name. And James, I know you're the younger one between me and Hannah. I actually have no idea what Hannah's age is, but I can assure you, it does not take 80 years to get a beer gut and lose some hair, buddy. Give me like 5 years and a wedding ring, and you're set.
You already got one of those.
Yeah, I know. And I've already got I've got my hair for now, but I promise you, there's a reason why I am this up on webcam. You don't want to see the bottom of that, everybody.
We saw that in Chicago, I believe.
Firstly, I had a sexy picture of dad versus daddy, as you so adequately worded it, between my cosplay of, I guess to a certain extent, Brandon Hanna. Because Brandon, you saw me at Chicago live.
I did. You and Alex looked great.
Yeah, and I was definitely dressed as the good Bateman, the heel Bateman. I know
the Bateman if he went on a bender for about a month, right?
You and I have a very different definition of the word good.
Yeah.
I think Ben's changed for the better. Wouldn't you say?
Better.
I can pull the graph out again.
You're making some friends now, hey, Mr. Hitman.
Right.
Listen, I think Ben and I have gone our separate ways, and we're both bettering ourselves in different ways.
Sure, that's what I said to my ex-girlfriend once upon a time too, and let's just say I'm doing a lot better than that. But we're not going to be here talking about ex-girlfriends and all of that stuff. That's gross. We're here to talk about Brandon Hanna about Schmoedown. So
we could speak of exes. We could talk about Brandon Hanna's ex job spitting in Bateman's coffee before matches. Was that what made him turn face? Mm-hmm. Just being tired of you and had to fire you?
I always handled Ben's coffee with the utmost delicacy and care. Okay, but I don't know why you're saying these things.
Rumors and allegations, James.
I'm just at a loss for words, honestly.
See, Mr. Hitman, we have this thing called kayfabe, right? And it is my goal as your coworker to break that. So I will be sitting here drinking my imaginary tea, waiting for the Hitman's guard to go down, and then I can hire a Halle Berry to help kill him.
I don't want to speak about coffee anymore. That's not what the Hitman does. The Hitman doesn't even make his own cups of coffee.
I was speaking of tea. I intend to spill it.
I wait around
until
until Chance Ellison makes himself a cup of coffee, and I take it when he's not looking.
Now that's a good mentality.
Yeah. I can't trust the idea of Arizona.
Yeah. Well, here, so
Arizona.
let's see where you are right now. You have no alliance to any faction. You have no preference of your next opponent. And you just beat someone who in the families was a former champion.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do next? Like, think of yourself, Mr. Hitman, having the next name across off your list or destination to visit, whatever it may be. What is next for you?
Well, like I've said, I don't necessarily know when my next match is going to be, but believe me, I am preparing for it. I'm not quite Kevin Smets, but as far as a training regimen, that's what I aspire to be. I don't quite lock myself in a dungeon. My apartment is serviceable for that sort of thing. But so I'm just going to continue to train and get better. And every time I go out there compete, I'm going to be a stronger competitor than the last time I was out there. So I'm just going to do whatever I can to keep winning. That's the goal. I'm not worried about anything else, but that is just continue to get the wins under my belt. Short-term goal, I'd love to start my career 3-0 and then see where things go from there, because that's when you start getting into the conversation of competing for a belt, which is, of course, ultimately the end goal for everybody. So, that's where I'm at. Preparing, studying, training, and whenever my next match is, whoever it's against, I will be ready.
Now, you're aiming for a belt. Do you intend to use that in combat? Will the Hitman start specializing in belt Kwando?
No. You see, I will merely just hold it over my shoulder, and if you're nice to me, I'll let you polish it for me.
Is that directly aimed at Sam Levine?
Sam, he's a character. He does his commissioning, as he says. But that's not my league, so I don't really concern myself with what Sam does.
So I know that you've mentioned there's a lot of confidence. I think you got a pretty good short-term goal, hitting at 3-0. That is kind of the magic score for a rookie to kind of come in with. You hit 3-0, and you're automatically starting to talk big leagues. You're going to start really playing with the true champs of the league. So I know we talked a little bit before the show about some of your practice habits and kind of where you're shoring up some weaknesses and stuff like that. I'm not going to mention any of that because some of these competitors might study it out. Smets is a fan of this show, and he's one of the last people you want to know. Wants to know your weaknesses. But are there some things that you're trying to improve maybe or really focus on, and how are you doing that if you are?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is obviously to not have any weaknesses. That's what I trained for. I trained so that I can go to that wheel in round 2, spin it, and sit back down in my chair without even caring about what it lands on. Yeah. I'm not quite there yet. I do have some weaknesses. I don't know if I want to share them.
I wouldn't.
My next potential opponent could be watching, so I don't think I will. But yeah, that's what I'm training for, is to eliminate those weaknesses. As far as studying habits, there are some tips and tricks, some strategies, as you will, that I've picked up that I am utilizing. But there's no secret formula to success. I've said this before, and I'll say it every time someone asks. The number one way to study to get yourself to a championship caliber level is to just simply watch the movies and make flashcards and study those flashcards. And it takes hours, it takes weeks, it takes even months to get to that level of where a Kevin Smets or a Mike Kalinowski is at right now, both of which have done this to great effect. I mean, Kalinowski has talked about his binder that he studies from that just has information from every single Inner Geekdom movie on it in great detail, and that's honestly the amount of work that you have to put in. There's no secret to success. You have to go out and you have to earn it, and you can't make excuses for why you lost a match. Losers make excuses.
Spoken like a soon-to-be champion, if I've ever heard it. And that's gonna be a mighty journey. I shouldn't put those bets on you yet, but I'm feeling real confident. I've talked with you before the Hitman, and now it's after the Hitman, and that passion is there. Oh gosh, I was gonna sit here and start cutting up into some random questions, but James, before we start going it really fully off the rails, is there anything you want to cover with Brandon?
Honestly, I'm just lost for words how quickly this has gone by without him breaking character.
I know, we are impressed. We have been saying since the beginning of this, our job is sitting here just to take that kayfabe and throw it right into the trash if we can help it.
Listen, you know, I joked around earlier. What is kayfabe? I don't know what you're talking about. But, you know, it is true that to some effect, Brandon, Hanna, and the Hitman have kind of become one and the same person. You know, I do have conversations with some of my Schmoedown friends in like group chats and what have you, and sometimes I get really into it, and they just kind of go, "Brandon, did you just go full kayfabe in this chat?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm future champion." You know, so. But
yeah, 911. Yeah, I have a Hitman here. He's scaring me a little.
You know, all jokes aside, obviously, I'm not a real hitman, but I do take this very seriously. And I'm just thrilled to be in the position that I am now, where I have an opportunity to compete in the Schmoedown and do very well.
Right. And I think it's a huge opportunity that you've well shown that you've got the feet to sit there and kind of carry on with that. Let's kind of going off the script for a little bit, because you've got that one match and we've got a lot of Schmoedown talk on our way. So I think we'd be remiss to sit here and not cover just some other fun stuff. Let's talk about how much you like us instead of how much we like you for a little bit. So we have end of the year. We have those Schmoedown awards, right? So we got the meaty podcast awards, the reactors, the whatever we fall into. You've been on a couple podcasts.
The us and the losers is what the terminology is.
You've been on a couple of our competitors' podcasts so far. So we could probably roughly spin up a couple ideas what the nominees are going to look like. How much do we win?
Who do you want to win, Mr. Hanna?
And how badly do we win when we do win?
I think you guys have a very good chance of winning. I do. I mean, I think obviously being Action Army, you guys just naturally have a passion for what you're talking about, and it definitely shows. I know that the chairman has taken notice of you.
Sometimes not always at the best of times, Jay.
Whoa! You're just targeting me out of nowhere. What are you, a hitman?
I think you have a real shot. I honestly do. I think just naturally being Action Army, you guys have my vote.
Heard it here first, everybody. The Call to Action podcast, now supported by Brandon the Hitman Hanna.
Make sure when we actually get our podcast channel on iTunes, put that in the little taglines. Supported by a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not murder. It's just business.
God, already predicting your next line.
Oh, gosh. This is going to be good. This is going to be a good time.
Oh, speaking of Brandon Hanna being awful, when do you plan to return to movie Battleground, Mr. Hitman?
Oh, I don't know. It's I guess for those of you who don't know, but everyone watching this probably knows what movie Battlegrounds is, but it's like a fan league movie fights under the Full Metal banner. That's a pretty good description of it, right, James?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, much like my boss, Ben Bateman, I can't lose. And last time I played, actually it was my first time playing in a movie Battleground match, I defeated James Spence. And
damn!
That's what happened. I won. And I expect to win if I would ever play James again. Do I know if I will make a return? I don't know. I'm mostly focused on the Schmoedown right now. So I guess that's kind of my answer, also poking fun at James a bit.
That's fair. And that's a lot of why.
He brought it up.
He did. He
dug up that old wound all on his own.
Mm.
I'm currently undefeated in movie Battlegrounds, and I think maybe I'll take a year off, much like Tim Franco did before he made the ill-advised choice of joining corruption.
Oof.
Well, see, what I've been hard at work at for the past 5 minutes is creating our next match. So, Dylan, if you will, I need you to officiate this match. The first question, what is the worst Star Wars movie? Because I want you to feel pain. Who can beat Brandon Hanna in an Inner Geekdom match? The correct answer is everybody. And what is Halle Berry's best performance? In which case, I would say Catwoman. Beat that, Hitman.
Well, the worst Star Wars movie is clearly The Clone Wars.
But it also inspired a massive and brilliant TV series. So you insulting that sort of means you're insulting one of the greatest animated shows of all time.
Who can beat the Hitman? Absolutely nobody. And
I'll make sure to tell Kevin Smets that next time we have him on. Be like,
listen,
oh yeah, this little bitch who barely beat Chance
when I inevitably play Kevin, I might not be ready now, but I will be ready then. And what was that last question again?
What is Halle Berry's best?
Halle Berry's best role. Clearly, it's Gothica. That's an inside joke. Please watch James and I's
She is not
Battleground match
enough. You have another writer just shooting,
the reference.
What was she shooting in like 2001?
She's certainly not a perfect stranger. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. Because no one is,
and you've lost all your listeners.
Don't worry.
It's all right. We don't have any to begin with.
Nah, we have listeners, but we've said multiple times throughout the show that our ratings just plummet and drop and rise at various rates. We are the most extreme podcast because we have everybody before we burn our goodwill down immediately after earning it.
I can't wait till we air like a 2-hour documentary about why Ben Bateman's a terrible person, and all of our views just go in the toilet.
Gosh, the day we air that will be the day that Team Action reforms. Mark my words.
I'll be in the middle of playing the Scottish funeral song and some bagpipes as they tackle John Roca through a table.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of John Roca, Brandon Hanna, is a hot dog a sandwich?
It's a hot dog a sandwich. No, it is not.
Heard it here first, everybody. A hot dog, a piece of meat between two pieces of bread, not a sandwich.
No. It's not 2 pieces of bread. It's a single piece of bread, just folded. A sandwich, like, it could be an open-faced sandwich, but not a regular sandwich.
It's not a sandwich. I mean, it's a hot dog.
I don't know how we're gonna get any better than that. This was your show, everybody.
Actually, okay, I have a real question for Mr. Mr. Hanna. Because I participated in that movie Battlegrounds match, I'm aware that you are a big Star Wars fan. Is there any chance we see you in the Star Wars League in the future?
Ooh.
I wouldn't be opposed.
Realizing that means you would also have to study the Clone Wars film.
I would not be opposed to joining the Star Wars division. Certainly not right away. Yeah, I have some IG fish to fry right now, but I'm not going to rule out the possibility. Star Wars is listed as one of my strengths.
Not to mention, Smets is also a massive Star Wars fan, so you guys are sort of just like headed for that collision. No pun intended.
Hey.
I wouldn't mind beating Kevin in a Star Wars match.
Oh.
Ooh.
Beating Kevin Smets.
In a Star Wars match. And he loves Star Wars. Did you read his article?
Do you watch his films? Like, he makes actual feature-length films.
Have you seen the Kodor?
Yeah, out of Star Wars that isn't canon and won't be asked in this Schmoedown.
Oh.
Whoa. Are you talking about canon now, Mr. Hitman? I'm sorry. I actually can't tell if you have anything worth on that DVD shelf to make fun of you of. I'm going to assume you have something there that I can harass you over.
Brandon, Hanna, can you move your webcam? I wanna get a close up on some of this stuff. Firstly, props to the Metal Gear Solid 1. We will have video game trivia Schmoedown at some point. I guess.
Oh God.
What do we got here?
All right, what do we got? We have
some lovely artwork by Janine the Machine.
We cannot insult that. She is a queen.
No, she is a gem. I hope she watches this episode. Janine, we love you at the show.
I hope she stomps Kalinowski.
We have our Action Army Civil War Challenge coin.
I'm so mad
available to a certain level of patrons.
Hey,
over the Action Industries Patreon.
Get it now.
Hey, no, don't. That's not fair. You got that in Houston.
So become an action. Not an action. Become a patron of Action Industries today.
You have a very nerdy mug over there.
I also have the other one as well.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
Correct one.
James, where's yours?
Yeah, because I don't have $200 to drop on a flight to Houston.
The Patreon tier where you could get it is much cheaper than $200.
I don't have a job. I host a podcast. I don't have a job. Are you kidding me?
To be fair, we really should have material that's set up to be kind of pushed on it, but for whatever reason, they don't want to give away our free call to action material.
I got some posters from live events I can start selling. I have one that says, Ben is a traitor, hashtag the family, hashtag something about Andrew Guy. I also have the one from the LA live event, which I'm actually really proud of, which says, Action Army sends her regards, and it's Walter Frey with some blood going down.
That would have been good. I had posted this my ass, Acidity, but that didn't go very far.
You could always bring, next time the family's at a live event, you should just have a big sign that says "Eat my ass, Navarro," and I'm sure you get all the signatures.
Just a huge Armai Burnett head, just gaping with the same words flying out.
No, it's "I will eat your ass, Navarro." Yeah. That would be the talk of the night.
I mean, one of the most beautiful sounds in the world is Robert Meyer Burnett yelling "Navarro!"
Yeah.
I'd have that as a ringtone if I could.
Okay.
Although I gotta say, I believe there was that cut scene between Dagnino and Burnett a little while ago, correct? It was at the end of one of the matches.
That was at the. I think that might have been at the beginning of your guys' match for the Intergeekdom one, if I remember.
No.
That was.
It was, I think, 2 weeks ago. Because it was talking about... It was after this Mets match.
One of my favorite lines was from that match when Dagnino says, what does he say? He says, "Bonjour, moron." And Burnett says, "Is that the best you got?" And he goes, "It's the best there is."
Is there any chance you're gonna start having like a mic off with Tom Dagnino?
A mic off with Tom Dagnino.
Yeah. Does the Hitman have some weird quips in there? Have some booty shorts and some Gucci?
Mm-hmm.
The Hitman likes to take himself a little more seriously than that. But you know, I see Tom around the studio from time to time, so who knows? Maybe we'll end up seeing each other down the road in an actual scene.
Brandon confirming
What?
5 Horsemen.
No, put your hand down, Dylan.
We got it here first. Brandon Hanna confirmed 5 Horsemen.
Listen, I'm very happy for Ben. He's doing well with the Horsemen. But like I said,
you sound like an ex of like. I'm happy for Ben. He's moved on to greener pastures.
No.
Meanwhile, you're moving on to like something.
I have a lot of respect for the Horsemen. They're Schmoedown royalty, and I'm very proud of my former boss for joining their ranks. And but you know, like I said, that's just like any faction. I'm doing my own thing.
Having a Carl Fredericks Walker with tennis balls in the end doesn't mean someone is worthy of being put on a pedestal.
Yeah, dinosaurs are real big and old too, and guess what? They died all the same. So,
now we put them in our car and just drive to better places. Do we really want to respect Roca when we can just have him in our car? That didn't go.
I'm not going to sit here and argue with you guys. I think their reputation speaks for themselves.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I feel like we've cut it for quite a while, and I want to firstly thank me for coming onto the show to interview you, Brandon, because James was going to sit here and just roast you for an hour straight.
Didn't I already do that?
Yeah.
A little bit. You guys had some weird questions.
Okay.
I didn't quite know how to
everyone's
respond
side of the
to it.
debate is on this hot dog thing. Like, it's a very serious question.
It's a hot topic right now.
The National Sandwich Council demanded everyone's opinion.
Right.
Which is a real organization, mind you.
Yeah.
Listen, sandwiches, when it comes to the bread, you know, it's and the meat inside, you can't have both be round. You can't have 2 cylinders inside of each other. That's not a sandwich. Doesn't make any sense.
I could take this in a lot of ways, but we would get close.
Yeah, I'm not saying a word.
Sandwiches need to be layered. They need to be layered.
Like an onion.
Like an onion.
Like an onion.
Even though onions are round.
For 5 points, Brandon Hanna.
What movie is that from?
It's from Shrek, of course, but that's not an IG movie.
Nah.
It should. I mean, it's a franchise.
Yeah.
It hits us all deep when we were growing up. Other than Dylan.
It's very sci-fi comedy. So
I mean, there are some heavy Lord of the Rings references in Shrek 2 for certain. But it doesn't make it an IG.
Actually, okay. So here, final question before we round off, because this has just been getting off the rails more than normal. Is there anything you would like to see added to Inner Geekdom?
No, I don't think so. I think I've got enough movies to study. Thank you very much. I don't need any more.
Not even John Wick?
Oh,
listen.
John.
I already bring the energy of John Wick with me to the studio every time I walk in. There's no need to also throw in a John Wick category. It's redundant.
Actually, you know what you could do for your next entrance? You could recreate "Always Be My Maybe" with him coming with the glasses and like the big floppy hair. And
I see. I don't see myself as one of those competitors that has a different themed entrance every single time. Ooh. You know, I am who I am, and I'm gonna stick to my guns, and I'm gonna come out the same way every single time and take care of business.
All right. So, Mr. Hanna, when you're coming out of your cage and you're doing just fine, I know you got to be down, but do you want it all?
Why are you the way that you are?
Because I'm a terrible person, Mr.
All right.
Hanna. Thank you very much. And
Brandon.
on that note, the killers will be sending us out tonight.
Yep.
Speaking of the killers, Mr. Hanna, where can people find you?
You can find me at Twitter and Instagram at BrandonHanna07. And you can also go find Action Industries on Facebook and Instagram, and Team Action Show on Twitter. I am an associate producer. So see, what happened was once I stopped being Ben's fictitious intern, I became his real life intern. So that's where a lot of my time goes now. So yeah, definitely check those out so that they don't fire me.
Mm.
And Dylan, I know you're not on social media a lot. Where can people find you?
You can catch me more frequently at Twitter at CAMACH Octopus. I'm trying to keep up with our drama and all the stuff that we have going on there. Brandon Hanna's familiar with that, but we don't got enough time in the world to bring up that stuff right now. You can also catch me at Facebook by my literal name at pretty much every group that is good, including the Hit Squad. I'm gonna go ahead and plug Brandon Hanna for you. Or go ahead and join in that Hit Squad. Support Brandon Hanna, big friend of the show, soon to be a big name in the Inner Geekdom division.
I was just gonna say I totally forgot to plug the Hit Squad. Definitely go on Facebook and join the Hit Squad. Next to the Action Army, we're the loudest, proudest, greatest fan group in all the Schmoedown. So
It's because you are the Action Army, but the part with the traitors.
I'm the new blood. It's the evolution of the Action Army.
Whoa. We're not saying
Whoa. You cannot evolve past perfection.
Right.
We have reached peak fan club.
Guy is a diamond and Ben Bateman is coal right now, Santa Claus. So we gotta
But
slow down.
they're divided.
So
Team
wait, what you're
Action
saying
is divided.
is that Ben needs to get smashed into a diamond.
No. What I'm saying is Team Action is the past. The Hit Squad is the future.
Fair enough. We'll handle along that one. You are definitely.
If you want to separately go cheer for the family or for the Horsemen, that's on you. But it all comes back to where Team Action, we could all unite in peace and harmony and ass kicking in the Hit Squad. So join the Hit Squad.
This is like Brandon Hanna just being Thanos, trying to get all the different groups onto his little power glove. And because we were wrapping up, we just need to get this over with. You can find me on Twitter starting fights with Mike Kalinowski at Temecula Film Guy. It is at TEMECULA Film Guy. Just reached 200 followers, which means yes, I am still just as irrelevant as I was yesterday. You can also find Team Action on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like Mr. Hanna said, but also on Patreon, where they're unlocking a lot of new tiers soon, as well as giving a lot of stuff.
You can get one of these bad boys.
Yes. One of these bad boys I just pulled out of my pocket. You can also find Ben on Twitter and Instagram at Ben Bateman Media, and Andrew Guy in the same places at Andrew Guy. You can tune in to Action Movie Anatomy next week, where they're covering Fellowship of the Ring, the worst Lord of the Rings movie. And that is a fact. It
is the worst Lord of the Rings movie, but it's also one of the greatest movies ever made because they're all perfection, just different tiers of perfection.
I will see you in the chat on Monday, Mr. Hanna. Bring some coffee for me, please, and thank you.
I don't do that anymore.
For coming on the show. We will see you guys next time, where we will be discussing his match in more detail and being mean to people, which we can't do on here. See you guys next time. Peace out.
Salute.